We're going to be talking about, look at the cue music here. We're going to be talking about small business ideas, challenges, and solutions in these times that we're living in. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, huddle up. It's time for the huddle.
Yay.
Good morning. Welcome to the huddle. I'm your host, Walter Strong. If you're new here and you want to find your passion, unlock your potential, and discover God's purpose for your life, then I want to welcome you to the huddle. And also, if you haven't had the opportunity to subscribe to this YouTube channel, please do so. Like this channel and share this important live stream on your favorite social media channel. Whether if you're on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, because today we are on Facebook, we're on YouTube with a great special coach and consulting that's going to help us about small business ownership and entrepreneurship. And so let me just read her bio and her brief intro that I put together for her. Today's guest is a consultant and professional trainer of trainer. She is a talk show host. She is the CEO and president of SAJ Consulting Services. She is a Toastmaster member, of designated. There's so many things we could go on, but because we want to get to the meat of the matter, I want to introduce to you the one, the only, Mrs. Sharon A. Joseph. Welcome to the huddle, my sister. How are you doing?
Thank you, Walter. I am fantastic. I am ready to huddle with you and talk to some businesses and people who are thinking about getting into business out there.
Great. So those of you who are on YouTube, those of you who are watching us on Facebook, just drop down in the chat of YouTube and let us know where you're watching us from. If you're on Facebook, let me know in the comment section where you're watching us from, and put any ideas or challenges that you may be facing, so our dear sister Sharon can address and speak to some ideas you have and some challenges you may be facing, and even confirm some solutions that you feel that you have. And so,
absolutely,
dear sister, tell our audience here on Facebook and YouTube a little about yourself and how you found your passion in this area of expertise that you're in.
Wow, thank you, Walter. So I must tell you, my area of expertise now was like a diamond in the rough. And I say this because I was born in Trinidad, a Caribbean, in Trinidad, as in Trinidad and Tobago, and grew up in New York City. So I normally say I was born in Trinidad and bred in New York City. Right. And growing up, I had a major speech impediment. I couldn't say my name is Sharon in one sentence without stuttering through every word. I'd be trying to say my name and I'd say something like my name is and I couldn't enunciate S's and W's. And guess what? My name begins with S, and every important question you want to ask begins with W. Who, what, when, where, why? They all begin with W. And I was really challenged in being able to enunciate those words. And I found myself always being the butt of the joke or the prime target for bullies. It was just the most almost tragic situation any young child can find themselves in. But what I did was I had it in me I wanted to be loved, and I wanted to make friends, but no one wanted to be friends with a girl who couldn't speak. So that passion to embrace, find out what makes people tick, or find how can I pull the best out of them, I think it has been in me for a really long time, because when I suffered, I felt what it felt like to be excluded. So I started reading a dictionary and a Bible to learn to enunciate words, and I started investing in me. I had no friends, so I became an overachiever. I remember having self-help books and cassette tapes around me all the time, listening, reading, investing in myself. I didn't quite understand that I was investing in myself at the time. I just knew that I wanted to be more and do more. So at 18, I had a summer job, and I used up all of my summer money to go and take this course at Dale Carnegie Institute in human relations and effective speaking. And that was a really transformational time in my life. I didn't stop stuttering. As a matter of fact, I stuttered through the entire 12-week program. I
Mm-hmm.
was so embarrassed every week, but I still kept going. And what happened was when I graduated, I re signed up to become then an assistant to the instructors. And I'm going to shorten my story so we can go into the meat of this broadcast. But the bottom line is I started assisting with Dale Carnegie, and I found myself this person who couldn't speak, who was so insecure about myself, helping executives in that field who were improving their communication and leadership skills. I was 18. So I started to learn about some of the issues that businesses and executives dealt with, but I didn't quite realize what was happening at the time. It was just
Mm-hmm.
information that was just being put into my brain, but not being processed and used for wisdom. And my first real job, I was a teller, and I deliberately wanted that because I didn't want to have a job where I had to speak too much.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a teller, you don't have conversations at the window.
Right,
And
right.
but my managers saw something else in me, and they moved me to supervise the customer relations department.
Mm.
I didn't want to do that. I couldn't speak. I was stuttering.
Right,
But I
right.
remember as a teenager saying, God, if you are God, you'll heal me. I
Mm-hmm.
literally said that, and I remember it so clearly. If you are God, you'll heal me. And I'm speaking today without stuttering, so I'll just leave that there. I guess it proves itself. He proved himself. But when we migrated to New York, and I had my first other job working with many different companies. I know this sounds weird. I worked with an employment agency, and they'd always send me out to new clients, new
Mm-hmm.
businesses, or major businesses. New clients, whether they were small or large businesses, or have me be the assistant or the secretary or the receptionist. And I'm thinking, but why? And they said that you're good with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought I was improving myself, right? But I was good with people, and I didn't quite know it until they started telling me why they were sending me to all of these new clients that they were getting. So I learned lots of administrative work through that process. Again, I believe every step in our lives is a step in the direction of our purpose, if we will
Mm.
accept it as such. So from learning all the different types of administration from these different companies, I ended up in the investment field. And I
Mm.
realized, oh my gosh, this is really busy. And from the investment field, I went into Standard and Poor's, and that in itself was a miracle. And maybe for a next broadcast, we'll talk about that, how I
Sure,
got the
sure.
position. But I started working in the performance evaluations group of Standard and Poor's, the performance evaluations group.
Mm-hmm.
Again, God had given me lots of administrative skills, and now He was giving me evaluation and performance skills that I didn't quite understand why. I felt like I worked like a dog in that group, but it also exposed me to something else because we were dealing with the United States government, the
Mm-hmm.
ministry, the Department of Education, and I was communicating with the head of that department, working in the marketing group at S&P Performance Evaluation Services, speaking with state superintendents, all of the state superintendents throughout the U.S. And I thought to myself, this is really cool. And so despite my speech impediment and so on, I found myself graduating from NYU with a business degree and working at S&P. And by the way, I worked and went to school at the same time, full time on both ends,
Mm-hmm.
at school full time and working full time. And then when I graduated, I moved from, or I wanted to move from the Performance Evaluation Services group to another larger group. And I didn't know at the time, but the head of that group suggested I do that. And I'm like, why don't they want me anymore? But
Mm-hmm.
again, God had divinely positioned a destiny helper to move me to my next level. Going to that other department, the structured finance group, the group that rates companies, countries, and businesses, they were asking me to go and be the administrator for that group. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought to myself, God, if I had planned my own life, I would not have ended up here. And
Mm-hmm.
that was the moneymaker, the major sector of the entire business. And oh, by the way, did I tell you, because I didn't have many friends, I ended up graduating on the dean's list at
Mm-hmm.
NYU.
It
And
it
wherever
always
else,
works out that way. It
it
definitely works out that
always worked. Yes. So I was so excited. So I started now at this department, the structured finance group, managing the administration of over 500 people and having direct reports of about 55 in total, 8 direct and 40 something indirect reports to help with the management, the administration of the group. But when I look back now, I say, my goodness, how did I get there? I was asking myself. And I knew it was divine positioning. And I
way.
knew that it didn't just happen overnight, because sometimes, that imposter syndrome gets on you, like, who are you to be so good or to do this or to do that? But we forget sometimes the road we traveled. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't happen overnight. And it was a series of small steps, inconvenient steps, steps that I thought I was being overworked and underpaid at, that
Mm-hmm.
led me there. And while there, I found myself being loaned out because I had this eye for improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just weird, even looking back now, because I find myself in this position using all of these skills to help businesses. But I had this eye for improvement, and I'd see things like business etiquette type issues and leadership and communication type issues that the
Mm-hmm.
company wasn't addressing as a whole. So I developed a business etiquette training program for the company, and the president was so impressed by it at the time, she allowed it to go into the S&P University so that staff could register for it. Within the first
Mm-hmm.
45 minutes of that program being in there were no seats available.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just one inspiration after another. But again, I was seeing things from many different points of views because I had worked with so many different companies. I was able to see some of their good and some of their challenges and how they can improve. And I applied all of those things there. When I left there, I decided, wait a second, I'm working here full time and I'm being loaned out on Wall Street and to McGraw Hill being the parent company of S&P, and
Okay.
other companies, nonprofits and so on, loaned out on behalf of S&P to do training programs at that time. And I'm like, really? I'm like, if I can do it for them, and by the way, when you're being loaned out, you're not being paid any additional funds. You're just being paid
No.
one salary, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
thought to myself, wait a second, maybe I can do this on my own. And that's where I got started. That's what truly inspired me. The fact that people valued what I brought. And sometimes I discounted what I had because it was in little pieces, little bites. But after I realized that they find value in what I bring, why they are sending me to different companies to share with them. And I started my own, and now I am doing so many things. And by the way, Toastmasters International was very instrumental in helping me continue to improve my communication and leadership skills, because
Mm-hmm.
not only was I able to share and develop, but I was also able to be evaluated and get feedback. Many
Mm-hmm.
times we want to do something and not get feedback, and that's why I've got to say kudos to you, because at the end of all of your programs, I heard that you've got this little session where you get feedback. That's how we learn and grow. But many people don't like feedback. It doesn't feel good to be told that you're not doing something well. But
Right.
it's in knowing what you're not doing well that truly makes you excel and exceed. So many of us miss that. So that's how I ended up there. I've participated or served on several different boards and committees and so on. Been the vice president of a major residential complex on Fifth Avenue in New York City. Have done consulted in New York, Atlanta, Pennsylvania, Cleveland, and now I'm working with a group of businesses a group of businesses, an entire city of businesses here in Connellsville to help the businesses grow and to help the city to become more vibrant, the businesses in the city become more vibrant. And it's the most rewarding and exciting thing, because all of the years of working at different companies, all of the years of wondering, why am I in this low paying job and working so hard? It's now coming together to be able to be a blessing to these businesses. Yes. So I'm very particular. If I'm sharing information with someone, especially if it's free and they are not being receptive, I just close down, because I think what I bring is so valuable. I refuse to basically throw my pearls to swine, if you understand what I mean.
Sure,
So
the word of God is clear on that, and
yes.
and I hear two things out of your opening intro that you shared with us, which I
Mhm.
truly appreciate, and I know our viewers are appreciating. Is one, your testimony, because where our testimony becomes important, especially when we are working on a 9 to 5 job, or we were previously working for a 9 to 5 job, in the state of the economy that we're in, the confidence to say, can I go into business for myself?
Mhm.
Not only for myself, but can I be able to meet a need in a
Yeah.
market that I can do? And so hearing the confidence in the testimony that God gave you through helping you to overcome your speech impediment. Just because we may not have a speech impediment verbally, we may have an impediment sometimes in our mind,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
our thinking. And
Yes.
so just to hear God has given you that victory is an encouragement to me, is an encouragement to our viewers on Facebook and YouTube, that if you truly want to go into business, entrepreneurship, not
Yes.
just because you want, but because Proverbs 18:16 says, a man's gift makes room
Make
for them.
room for him.
So
Absolutely.
there's a gift, there's an ability that can generate not just income, but streams of income, but you
Hmm.
need the confidence. You need the
Absolutely.
confidence to overcome that impediment up
Yes.
here, right? And I was just sharing with my wife this morning that, all my life in being raised, I was kind of taught by my family, you go out and you get a job. You
Hmm.
go, I'm originally from Detroit,
That's.
Michigan. So it's either go work in the Ford plant, go work in the Chrysler plant, go put your 9 to 5 in, support your family. And I've
Hmm.
been taught that all my life for over
Yes.
52 years.
Yes.
And now I'm starting to get a taste of why it's important to become an entrepreneur, which I
Hmm.
call my third phase of life. The
Hmm.
third quarter of my life is,
Right.
as Coach Kendall Ficklin puts it on. I'm watching and listening to some of his coaching tapes. I'm in the third quarter of my life, and now I have a
Mm.
taste of entrepreneurship. So it's a matter of renewing the mind now to
Mine.
say,
That's
you're not
so
just working
critical.
for people, but you now have to work to serve people through the gifts that you're giving. So your testimony isn't powerful. Let me transition to our second point,
Yes.
which ties in also what you talked about, your experience, because sometimes we wonder, Lord, why am I on this job for 10 years? Why am I here for 15 years and I just can't? And we discount the fact that the experience, the
Hmm.
gifts, and the abilities are all the ingredients for us to go into business,
Yes.
into the market. So how were you able to identify that the needs that were not being met in the small business industry, where you could be able to better serve those areas? How did God really help you to see what was needed?
So, several ways. And I'll start with something I'll piggyback on what you just said about the mind and the impediments of the mind. Recognizing that our mind is our most valuable asset is the
Mm-hmm.
key to solving any problem.
Yes.
Every idea that was ever conceived started in the mind. And we tend to pray sometimes and or ask and not realize that thinking is as important as asking,
Mm-hmm.
because and the word says it. It's like you can get more than you ask or think. That tells me asking and thinking are on the same level. But many times we refuse to use our mind. We see what's out there and we try to hold on to that, or figure, well, they've already done that, so I can do it. So my first thing is lack of knowledge and understanding that our mind is our most valuable asset. and that it's in our mind. Valuable ideas come not just in our minds, but in people's minds. So identifying the people you need around you to help you grow is important. How did
Mm-hmm.
I how did I find some of the needs? By observing, by just thinking, this is being done this way, but something tells me that it can be done this way. And then your mind goes into motion thinking about how can, if it were done this way, what would need to be changed and how can they adjust what they're doing to truly make this succeed. So I think because of all the many companies I've worked with, I've seen the many challenges they faced. And
Mm-hmm.
dealing with a group of over 500 people and working in different departments of the same company, and being the ability to work with people as well, hearing their ideas, hearing their questions, and knowing what the different businesses needed when I worked with them, it allowed me to see the need that is general. Most
Mm-hmm.
most businesses in general faced very similar issues: lack of knowledge, lack of the desire to change, lack of bringing on the right people or getting the right knowledge, lack of transitioning when necessary, lack of finding your niche and sticking with it. What are you bringing? What is your unique selling point? And how can you use it to truly impact, sincerely impact, and not just a small group of people, but truly impact your surroundings and be the best at what you can do. So, and finding the right employees as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the need is not just, well, I need more money or I need staff members. You need so much more than money and staff to run a business. As a matter of fact, if you have money and not the right staff, your business will fail. If you take your staff for granted, because many businesses take their staff or employees for granted. They bring them on, don't necessarily want to hear what they have to say. By the way, an idea is worth so much. Everything in
Mm-hmm.
the world was built on ideas. And when you have a staff come in and you stifle them to the point of them not wanting to share their ideas with you, you're missing out on the value of that staff member or employees. Another thing is companies being relevant. Seeing the need for relevance, and I truly believe companies fail because they choose not to be relevant. If you're not relevant, eventually you will fail to exist. You think of
Mm-hmm.
Kodak, you think of Blockbuster, you
Mm.
think of many movie theaters, as a matter of fact, now that we have online streaming.
Yes.
If they don't modify their models, their business models, they will fail, because it doesn't cost you half as much to download and stream a movie at home in your PJs with your family, take a phone call in the middle of the movie and talk to your wife or your friends during the movie, pause it and start, and continue. So if a movie theater wants to get people to come out and be there, and I'm not sure why I chose this
Sure. I
example
think that's a great example. Sure.
of a movie theater. But yeah, because if I can stay home and not have to pay the high price of the movie ticket and the overpriced snacks and drinks in the movie theater, why not stay home and get drinks, invite friends, and pay one fee, download a movie, and have fun. I found that if businesses don't see or move with the times, they'll fail. And
Mm-hmm.
they need to do things that will bring people in. People are looking for experiences. They're looking for memories. They're looking to create memories. You may not remember how much you paid for, let's say, going to an event or even a movie with friends, but you'll remember the friendship, the fellowship, the fun time you had with them. So if movies want to be relevant, that's what they'll need to do. Create an environment where people would want to come to the movie because it's so fun. For example, and this is my creative mind just running here now,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope it's going. I hope I'm answering your question about how I found a need, how to know what businesses need. Um, if a movie theater, for example, decided to offer an escape room
Mm-hmm.
along with a movie, or give you a choice of two or three movies, and depending on which and how you escape the room, whichever door you exit, that's the movie you'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that sounds crazy and out of this world, right? It's an
Right.
idea. But I promise you, if a movie theater decided to do something like that, people will come not just to see the movie, but the experience of having to go through this mysterious room and find their way and not quite sure which movie they'll see, but they have a choice of one. They're making
Sure.
it an experience
Mm-hmm.
would boost their business tremendously. If they don't, I truly believe that they will fail. Movie theaters will become extinct. I truly believe it. Although there's something wonderful about seeing a movie on the big screen, this pandemic has so changed business and lives that business models, they have to change in order to be competitive and thrive. So that's one idea I've been thinking about. What can movie theaters do to bring people in? And an escape room to get into a movie, that's, I think, a great idea. And that's the only idea I'm sharing because ideas are valuable. Just so you
Sure,
know.
definitely. You have the idea, and and hey, if you're getting great value out of our discussion on just on the first segment of small business ideas, just drop down in the comment section and hit hashtag value, and let us know where you're watching this from, or here on YouTube, and if on Facebook, just put in the comment section where you're watching this from, and when you talk about ideas as a person who wants to go in business for themselves, for those who are watching us, um, being able to say, what are the ideas that I can help generate to be able to, not so much for going into business for myself, but like you said, to service people. And I was watching your YouTube video that you have. She has a YouTube channel, so we want you to
Yes,
subscribe to a
thank
YouTube channel and show her some love. But in your video, you were talking about how we can use our gifts and talents
yes,
to be able to generate ideas. Just share a little with our audience on what you talked about in the video.
sure. So first of all, we've got to understand that God has equipped us with some gifts and talents that we don't need to go and purchase anything to have them to have them be activated. They
Mm-hmm.
are in our DNA. We don't, like, for example, a bird's ability to fly does not require it to go to school to learn to fly. It's in
Mm-hmm.
its DNA. It was made to fly, so it flies. A
Mm-hmm.
fish doesn't go to school to learn to swim, but it does swim in schools, right?
Right.
But fact is, it doesn't have to go learn to swim. So our gifts, our talents, the things that we need to be successful in life, the things that we need to start a business or have a business idea, it's already in us, in our DNA. The thing
Mm-hmm.
we need to do is to develop that. I didn't know that one of my gifts, would be speaking. After all, I couldn't speak growing up. I stuttered. I never in my wildest dream, as a matter of fact, I avoided speaking. I never in my wildest dream believed that speaking and impacting lives would be my journey.
Mm-hmm.
But I decided to develop that thing I thought I couldn't do, and I started investing in me. So I mentioned earlier about your mind being your most valuable asset. I mentioned that your gifts and talents are in you, it's in your DNA. You don't need to go learn to do it, you need to develop them or
Mm-hmm.
refine them, like a diamond. A diamond is
Yes.
just a black piece of coal until it's refined. And I think that's
Mm.
what who I was. I didn't know who I could be. I didn't see the sparkly diamond because I was just seeing the rough piece of rock.
Okay.
But most people are diamonds in the rough. So I'm suggesting to people to use their gifts and talents. Don't try to go into business that you have no passion for. Don't try to establish or work with companies that you don't feel is in alignment with the things you naturally want to do.
Can you say
Because
that
that,
again for Can you say that again for our audience? Aligning your abilities, your passions.
yes,
Let me
with the
shut up.
thing,
Let you repeat that again.
people just need to be able to align themselves with their natural abilities. That's the essence of it. If you can find a job in line with what you want, what you enjoy doing, then you're in the right job. You would not be sad, you will not be depressed every Monday and happy on a Friday. You will go in there with excitement and enthusiasm. Can I tell you, I've worked on mergers and acquisition, and most mergers and acquisition, they have money in the budget for almost everything else except that the transition really of staff members. Many times the company that's purchasing another company, will more than likely get rid of the company that was there and bring their own staff in, rather than figuring out which one of these two staff members who could be doing the same job, which one best fits this situation, this job, based on their natural skills and abilities. Most companies are losing money because they're hiring people because they want a job, they hire them, and then they lose them because they're not working in their area of giftedness. And and I hope in the future, as we go forward, companies, especially corporate companies, would be more aligned with figuring out or hiring people who are in alignment with their company and their person and that person's natural gifts and talents. So if you're starting a business, the essence is start the business doing something you love to do. Not what someone else think you should do, but what you love to do. As a matter of fact, it happens in colleges. So many people, so many young adults change majors and waste money because if you change a major, credits you got for this course is not applicable to this major. So you lose monies you paid for that. Why? Because they don't learn what their natural gifts and talents are before they go to college. And by the way, if anyone is listening and would like to have an assessment, either for work or for school, please call me. Please get in touch with me. I'll be happy to help you figure out what some of your gifts and talents are and what type of industries may best suit you. And a good example is I recently got an intern to work with me, and I'm about to get some more from Seton Hill University.
Okay.
And after I did her assessment, I realized that the best place for her is in research. Working by herself, she will get, and she's been working out so well. Why? Because I was able to position her where she's naturally gifted. So if you're starting a business, don't go try cleaning, starting a cleaning service business if you hate cleaning your own house or cleaning in general. Don't go think about starting a home health care agency if you don't have the patience and love to work with elders or children or people who has some sort of challenge with abilities. So it's just aligning yourself and what you want to do with the things that you naturally do best. That's the essence. That's a real essence of finding the right job. And the right job or starting the right business.
Right
rather.
business, right. Exactly.
The right business. Don't go try and be a photographer if you don't like photography or don't like to be, you can't instruct or help people determine how to look or how to turn or what to do. If you just feel like they ought to know for themselves, then maybe that's not the right business for you.
Great. No, those are great points. Hey, if you're getting great value out of this discussion, just drop down in the comment section and put #value. And those of you who are watching this on the replay, and that it's just hearing, we could stop the show right here and do a part 2, but because we have 2 other segments we want of this discussion we want to get to. But those watching on the replay, I want you to just put #replay and some feedback on, how this is resonating and speaking to you about the business ideas you have. And so let's go to challenges. In your video, you also talked about the challenges that a small business owner or an entrepreneur can face. Can you just share some of those challenges that we need to be aware of? Because just when I want to sell banana pudding, I want to start selling and cutting lawn for landscaping, but there are a lot of challenges and pitfalls I need to know about. Can you share them with our viewers?
There are. Now, people need to understand that there's some, and I'm doing this, or maybe I should start with small businesses first, because my mindset is generally to go big business because people understand big. You know what? I'll do that. People understand how big businesses operate more so than how, because a small business you can make changes on a dime. It's your business and you can make a decision and make it happen right now. Big businesses, it takes a little longer. So let's just do this one. A major companies fail sometimes because there are so many disruptive innovations in our society, and they're coming daily. Things are happening via apps versus having to go and in person do something. So we've got to be familiar or get used to the many disruptive innovations. What am I talking about? At one point, you used to write or request products, let's say, via an invoice, or make a call and then have them write it down and then ship it to you, and so on. But now there's a disruption. There's internet, and now most companies, you've got to go online and place your order, and then have it shipped to you. And if you're going through this, one of the major shippers and online sellers, it may come to you the same day or the following day, right? That's a huge disruption in waiting for days to come. I want to be more specific. So let's say, to that point, you need to be able to shift with the times. Again, being relevant is so important. Now, some of the challenges you'd face are from the simple to the extreme. A simple challenge for small businesses is to get it started. Many people are afraid to start a business because they're afraid of failure. But I see failure as a necessary part of success. No person I know has been successful without failing. So my thing to your audience is fail forward. And I know there's a book out there by that name, and I'm trying to remember John. Okay, fail forward.
I believe Tavis Smiley has written a book on that title as well. But there are others, right?
Yes, fail forward. Fail and learn from your failure and still keep moving. Fear keeps us back from starting as well. Fear, it's been said that fear is false evidence appearing real. But the Word of God tells us over 365 times, fear not. One of my favorite scripture is Isaiah 41:10 that says,
"What?
Fear not, I am with you."
We're not turning this into a church service, but we'll do after the party. What you like for?
The Almighty is saying, your Creator, the one who has your best interest at heart, is saying, fear not, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. What do you have to fear? So the fact is, many people are afraid, but I think the thing they ought to fear is fear. Fear is not something people ought to be afraid of. Learn from it. Figure out why you're having this anxiety or fear. Work on that anxiety. Is it money? Is it failure? What is it? And that's why I encourage people to find a coach. Can I tell you, I coach people, and I have 2-3 coaches and mentors. Find a coach. I've never seen a winning team without a coach. That's Mr. Huddle.
That's right. Great coaching brings out the best in a player or a person.
Exactly.
Michael Jordan needed it. Hey, we need it.
Exactly. Find a business coach to help you start and get your business off the ground. Be afraid and still do it. That's courage. Being afraid and still doing what you need to do. Business people feel it every day, especially when you're about to invest your scarce finances into a business and you're wondering, is this the right time? Hey, this is the right time. Get it started. I encourage people in this time to use some of this money. I call it free money, basically, right? Use some of the money you're about to get through the stimulus package and start a business. It doesn't have to be a major, Amazon type business. Start a business at home. Start a business cutting grass if you've got a good lawnmower. Start a business, let's see, cooking if you're a good cook. Start a business at what you're good at. Whatever you're good at and have a passion for. Because it's been said that passion is the fuel that keeps your fire going. So you've got to have a passion for whatever business you go into. But I'm saying to you, don't let this stimulus package money that you're about to get or have gotten just go and be spent. Many times we are such consumers, we don't produce, but we are producers. We ought to be producers. You cannot get rich being a consumer, and no one is going to pay you to get rich off of them. So the only way you can truly get rich is to start your own business and start small. The Word of God talks about don't be weary in well-doing. That it also says that, but don't despise small beginnings. Starting a business, start small. It's okay to start small. There are some major businesses out there that's floundering right now. And I hate to say or call names, but KFC to me is one of them. I have
Okay.
my mom loves KFC, and I have gone there several times, and they were out of chicken. Chicken, Kentucky Fried Chicken was out of chicken. I don't get that. There's
Right.
a huge failure in management, and I know it's a franchised operation, but again, disruptive innovation. There ought to be some sort of computer, something that says we are low on chicken, order more. Does it make sense? So be mindful of the things that know what you need before you go into business. And that's where, again, a coach comes in. And you don't need to register your business to get started. Start where you are. If it's selling t-shirts, sell to your friends and neighbors, your family members. And as
Right.
you grow, then you go and get registered and get an employer ID number. And you may not even have staff initially, but start where you are and grow, and start small, and start free if you need to, because you can get the best evaluations free. If people are getting something for free, they'll be willing to share their opinion. If they're buying it from you, they may buy it and taste it and say, I don't like this, I'm not going back there. But if
Right.
you're getting feedback before you launch and start having people pay for it, you'll get valuable feedback. Don't be afraid of feedback. That's something else I want to
Okay.
say.
All right. Hey, if you're watching this on Facebook, just give us a thumbs up, drop down in the comment section your business ideas or your challenges that you're
Mhm.
facing. And certainly Sister Sharon will and myself will give you some feedback in the comment section. If you're on
Absolutely.
YouTube, just give us a thumbs up, a like. And also, if you haven't gotten an opportunity to subscribe to this channel, not just to subscribe because I'm asking you, but because you want to find your passion. You want to
Yes.
unlock your potential and you
Yes.
want to discover God's purpose for your life, then we encourage you to subscribe so we can join in that journey together for you to find that purpose. You know, what came to my mind when you talked about the stimulus, and I was having a conversation with a close friend, and it makes me think about the parable of the 10 talents. You know, one had 5, one had 2, and one had 1. And to be able to take maybe, if you're getting $1,400, take $400 and use that $400 to register your business. Because sometimes we'll say, oh, I don't have the money to be able to get my LLC, because maybe you have some knowledge that if I get a sole proprietorship, then all of the liability falls on me. And I've been saying for months and years, I want to get an LLC. Well, now this is the time where you can
Now
take
it's the time.
$400, depending on the state that you're in, and then purchase that LLC. And that'll give you the confidence and the momentum to overcome some of the challenges so that we can now transition to solutions. Now that I got my LLC, or now that I'm registered with the state, you know, share what some of the solutions as a small business owner I should be having an expectation for to service people with.
Well, the first one I'd say is customer service. Value people. There's so many options out there right now to get what you're selling or what you want to sell, that you've got to define and differentiate yourself by not just the product you're offering, but the quality of your customer service. Many major companies are failing because of customer service. So if you determine to, one, give value for the money, people want value. People want value for their money, even if they're spending a little. So as you start your business, you must be determined to give value and value customers. So doing those two things are a major solution to many floundering companies right now. Another thing is lack of diversity. This seems so simple, but we live in a global world, and we know that the most important money maker that we have in this world is an idea. My ideas for anything that I'm doing maybe would more than likely would be different than yours, Walter, or for your listeners, it would be different than yours, because the way I was brought up, where I lived, where I worked, the things I do, the friends I have, it all come together to form the ideas that come out of me. So
Yes.
you need to be able to know that ideas are valuable and value people. Don't just shut down people because they started to say something that you didn't really or want to hear, or you think you know what they're about to say. Listen, listen, listen. Because until you listen and get the full scope of what they're saying, you wouldn't be able to understand or truly apply it maybe to your own ideas to make it better. So be mindful of that. Listen. And there's something called cognitive dissonance. And this is important to me too, because when I worked in New York City on Wall Street, I worked with different types of people. So again, diversity, I'm still talking about diversity here because it's so really important.
Sure.
And I worked with many people from the LGBTQ community in different capacities, maybe one here, one there, and so on. And at one point, I didn't quite know how to deal with that. It was contradicting my beliefs on what I was brought up, and what the Word of God says, and so on. And at one point, I was saying, God, I don't quite know how to deal with this. And by the way, it's good to say what you know, what you don't know, and get help for it. And there's a level of cognitive dissonance that goes on in all of our minds. What is that? It's a psychological term, and it occurs when a person holds contradictory beliefs, ideas, or values, and experiences a psychological stress because you don't quite know what to do because these things are contradicting each other. So how do you deal with that? You deal with it, you resolve it or solve cognitive dissonance by one, changing your existing beliefs, really important, adding new beliefs, or reducing the importance of what you believe. That was critical to me, changing my belief about how I saw the LGBTQ community. Again, ideas and people are valuable. People are valuable because they have ideas, and ideas come out of people, so you've got to value them both.
Gotcha.
What occurred to me was, despite what I know, despite what's written in this good book, what I realized was my responsibility was to love. Period. Not agree, disagree, condone, or chastise or avoid, but just simply to love. So by understanding that now, changing my existing belief and just loving and loving purely has brought me so much more love in return, and understanding and ideas that I would never have gotten if I didn't deliberately choose to understand diversity and appreciate and embrace other people's ideas. I hope that's making sense to you.
Oh yes, making great sense.
Your business, your business could be transformed just by one idea. And a good idea doesn't say I'm only coming out of a Caucasian person or an Asian person. Ideas come from people.
Yes.
So if we embrace diversity and we understand what they've lived and who they are, we're able to transition and help our businesses grow exponentially. So
boom, she just dropped the mic on us here on the Huddle. Hey, if you know that's true, just drop down in the comments section and just put #truth. And the link is in the description. So anyone who needs coaching or consultation from Sister Sharon, we've already put the link in our description of the YouTube channel, so you can be able to reach out to her. So before we close, we'll give her an opportunity to share the link and where you can reach her. And this has been great. This has truly been great. You've confirmed a lot of stuff that that God has been having us to say on the Huddle. And so just, as we close out women of color, women of excellence, you are truly God sent in being a woman of excellence and purpose. So I greatly appreciate you being on the show. And those of you who will be watching on the replay, just definitely show Sister Sharon some love in the comment section, because we will be kind of going back to just answer any questions that they may have. And so what's next for SAJ Consulting Services and you, Sharon, in 2021 and beyond?
Wow, really briefly, Breakthrough Leadership Institute.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a major part of it because I'm doing consulting with businesses, a group of businesses. I'm doing consulting with individual businesses, small businesses,
Mm-hmm.
and coaching and so on. And I recently established Breakthrough Leadership Institute as a nonprofit. And it's an institute where people would be able to learn communication and leadership skills, non-academic. We do everything that's non-academic at Breakthrough Leadership Institute. And I'm
Okay.
working with Seton Hill University to get it established. I have some really great mentors and coaches and so on, a retired principal. I mean, I have a really great team of people working behind the scenes with me, and MBA interns and so on. So it's really exciting. And that's coming up, and I'll keep you posted on that. My other passion will be to be consulting, not just with companies, but with countries. I know that's a
Mm.
lofty goal, but that's coming. I know it's coming, and I'm really excited about it. But my passion still would always be individuals. My passion would be the person who's struggling and don't quite know where to go, what to do in a small business, or if they should start a small business. That's my passion because I know the challenges you go through, and I want to be there. I want to be the person to help you walk this walk and accomplish your purpose. You've got a great purpose. God didn't put you down here to suffer. And if you're suffering now, think about why you're suffering and see what you can pull out of that suffering to make and how you can make a difference because of all the challenges you've been through in the past. You've got it. You've got everything that's necessary within you right now in this mind, your most valuable asset, and in you, your greatest investment. If you choose to invest in yourself, you can do anything you put your mind to, and what's ingrained your DNA in your DNA.
Okay. Hey, those of you who are going to be watching the replay, this is important. So where can our viewers get in contact with you? And those
Sure,
who are
sure.
watching on the replay.
Yes, on my website, SharonAJoseph.com, or email me at SAJ Consulting Services at gmail.com. Hey, I'll even give you a phone number. My phone numbers are 440-497-0172 or 724-603-0413. And you'd reach me directly. How about that?
All right, now that there you go. There it is. And on the huddle, we only want to bring on God's best, God's coaches, because
Thank
great coaching brings out the best of any player. It was
you.
true of Michael Jordan. It was true of the late Kobe Bryant. It's true even today of LeBron James.
Yep.
Regardless of how many of you sports fans say, well, LeBron James is the coach of the team. Yeah, that may be true to a point, but he's still listening to a coach that
Yep.
helped him to win that championship. And so if that's true in sports, how much more if we
In life.
need a great coach like a
Mhm.
Sharon A. Joseph. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for being a part of the huddle. And those of you who've gotten great value out of what we've shared today, I want to encourage you to just do a few things for me. If you wouldn't mind, on Facebook, just drop
Mhm.
down in the comment section and give me a thumbs up and let me know how this has added value to you. And
Exactly.
also share this live stream.
Yes.
Share this live stream to another friend on Facebook that you know. Even share it with that person that got on your last nerves and that you wanted to defriend and didn't want a friend anymore. Share it with them. If you're on YouTube, share this live stream
Mhm.
on your favorite social media channel. Give us a like, thumbs up, and if you haven't had an opportunity to subscribe to the channel, please do so because God is taking the huddle to new heights and new levels, and we want you to be a part of the strong army that's coming up. I'll share a little more with you in the after show of what the
Yes.
strong army is about. But the strong army is coming in 2021, so be on the lookout, Huddle fans. It's coming. It's coming. Well, that's it for this show. I'm Walter Strong. Let me get the music cued. Let's get the music cued. Say, come on, Walter, get it right. Get everything right before you start closing out. This is the part we got to work on here. Being a one-man show. There we go. One-man show. One-man show. Oh yeah, where were we at?
Help is
Always
coming.
remember. Always remember. Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that will prevail in your life. Make a quality decision today and make God's purpose prevail in your life. God bless.